Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Farrand On Film. Today, I'm bringing you a review of a film called Studio 666, which is a Foo Fighters film. Now, you may be familiar with this or you may not be familiar with this. So basically, Foo Fighters move into an Encino mansion steeped in grisly rock and roll history to record their much anticipated 10th album. Once in the house, Dave Grohl finds himself grappling with supernatural forces that threaten both the completion of the album and the lives of the band. I'm going to play the trailer, and then after the trailer is going to be my review.
Foo Fighters, you gotta get me a record.
It's our 10th album. We gotta break the mold on this one. Let's up. Let's go somewhere we've never been.
This place is amazing.
Do you guys get this overwhelming sense of death? Whoa. Doesn't really seem like the right fit. Whoa, that's rad.
That was weird.
The sound of this house is the sound of album 10.
All right, you guys. Amps, living room.
Let me apologize in advance for all the rock we're about to make.
Got a couple of ideas I've been working on. I'll lay them on you.
Dude, wait. It's called Everlong, and you wrote it about 20 years ago.
How you feeling? Everything okay?
Ever since we moved into this house, my mind is flooded.
We all have writer's block.
This is not just a creepy rock and roll house. It allows spiritual entities to cross into our world.
Oh my God!
Dude has got one flew over the cuckoo's nest crazy.
It's this place, man. Let's finish the track.
Can't we just wait, dude?
Play the drums.
You found a new musical note?
Hell yes, I did.
It's an L.
Any chefs in the group?
I'm pretty handy on a grill.
Yeah, you like your meat charred and dry.
He does make a killer barbecue.
What do we do?
We go save his ass.
Is the album almost done?
Yeah, it's killer.
Here you go, man. Finish the song.
You did.
Okay, so I don't think it's a secret to anybody who knows me, or I may have even mentioned them on this podcast at sooner points. Actually, going back to the top 10 documentaries that we did, or top 5 documentaries, I think it was, that I am a big Foo Fighters fan, huge Foo Fighters fan. Been to see them a couple of times, got all their albums, love it, So going into this, I was very much of the opinion that, well, obviously I'm going to like it. Obviously, it's one of my favorite bands making a horror film, making something that looks like it's going to be quite gory and a little bit silly. How do I even go from this? It's not very funny. There's a lot of reliance on really crude jokes and quite crude humor. It's not very scary, although a lot of the jump scares did get members of the audience sort of jumping out the skin a little bit. But I think ultimately what it pins down in is Dave Grohl's and possibly the extended band's sense of humor in general. It's goofy, it's corny. If you've been to a Foo Fighters gig before, you'll know the way that they are. And I'm going to come back to that in a little bit. But I think you need to basically be won over by it. And if you're not going to like it. There were 3 people in my screening that walked out after about 20 minutes because I think they thought it was going to be something else. Let's be honest, the band aren't natural actors. So if you're going into this for the best acting performances you've ever seen, you ain't getting it. Nate's good. Pat Smear eats everything up. Dave has his usual likable charm. Rami's performance is something like a kind of indulgent, turned up to 11 commentary on himself, but I don't know if that is himself. I don't know if he's just doing something. And Taylor and Chris kind of just get through it. I think Chris is a little bit, not necessarily a shy person, but he's definitely the more reserved of the few. Taylor is essentially just getting through it, I think. The kills are fun and inventive. There's a couple of kills, one especially the chainsaw, which I've never actually seen in a horror film before. And again, there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of blood. This is an 18 rating for a reason. Just winkingly over the top. Every time a kill happens, you know that they're kind of just going, yeah, we know that was a bit extreme, but that's kind of what we're here for. I did have issues with the runtime. It's only an hour 46. So when I looked at that, I thought, oh, that's going to be a breeze. It's not. There's pacing issues. It takes a long time to get going, and it kind of outstays its welcome. I think it should have ended about 10 minutes sooner than it did do. But ultimately, what I have to say for this is it's definitely for the fans. I don't think you're going to be in a cinema screen watching this film if you don't like Foo Fighters. I think if you don't really need to know their stuff to like the film, you don't really need to know any of their songs in the back catalogue. Like there's hints every now and again to songs like All My Life and Everlong and Best of You and stuff like that. But I don't think you need that to enjoy the film. But I don't think anybody's going to go and watch this who either doesn't know about Foo Fighters or doesn't like them. And I think if you've accessed their back catalogue, if you've been to gigs, if you've accessed the kind of raw material footage of them behind the scenes and doing different things, then it's going to win you round quicker than it is for someone who's less familiar. I was sat there and I was thinking, oh, it's a bit cringy, it's a bit corny, as my nan would say. You know, it's this kind of like it almost wants to be a spoof, but it's not really taking the mick out of anything. And if I'm honest, it is hard for me to be negative because I have such an affinity for the band that I can't not like it, but at the same time, I will say to you, it's just okay. It's fine. It's not groundbreaking. It's not great. It's probably not going to be in anyone's top 10 list at the end of the year, but it's not awful. It's far from awful. Okay. And I think it's not necessarily of a quality where I'm going to go back into school or I'm going to go back into sort of like seeing my friends and things and saying, oh my God, you need to go and watch this. I think ultimately, and this is not a negative criticism at all, I think it would have been better suited to being released during a lockdown and it being on streaming services where there's nothing else much to compete with it and people are naturally finding it and it's a good piece of entertainment to get us through that time. Whereas now it's going back into the cinema, it's competing with things like Uncharted, Sing 2 for the kids. Well, it's not really competing with Sing 2 for the kids, is it? It's still competing with Spider-Man No Way Home, and it's about to compete with the Batman. And I think of that menagerie of sort of films that are coming out at a similar time, it's going to get lost in the shuffle, definitely. I think it would have been better to be released on a streaming service at that point. If you're a fan, you're going to go and check it out. If you're not, you probably won't check it out. But if you're a bit of a Foo Fighters completist like me, you're going to go and see it. It's definitely not up there with the kind of pantheon of stuff that Dave Grohl's done in terms of, you know, Foo Fighters Back and Forth, the documentary which the band did, and then Dave Grohl's separate project on Sound City. It's nothing like that. It's them having a bit of fun, and basically they know that the band that can get away with it, so they're going to do it and get away with it. So yeah, I mean, again, if you're a Foo Fighters fan, go and watch it by all means. Just to point some things out that are going to come up soon on the podcast feed. We're at that time of year again where it's Manchester International Film Festival, MANIF, taking place at the Odeon Great Northern in Manchester. There's a huge realm of things being shown, from documentary features to narrative features to short films. And the next episode for the podcast is going to be me talking to the director, Kirby McClure, of a film called Spaghetti Junction, which is getting its UK premiere as part of the festival. I've seen the film. I'm going to give you a review and the interview with Kirby. That's looking ahead to the film's showing during the festival. And I'm also looking to get out myself to the festival to go and watch Bisping, the documentary about Michael Bisping. And I'm going to review that and put that on the podcast as well. So the next few episodes are going to be purely Manchester International Film Festival based, excluding the very, very next one, which is going to be a spoiler special of the Batman. which I'm very much looking forward to. And as time is recording, it looks like Ty and Ollie, who joined me for the Spider-Man No Way Home special, are going to join me for that one as well. So a bit of a quick review here for Studio 666. By all means, if you're into that kind of stuff, if you're into horror, if you're into Foo Fighters, if you're into horror comedy type things, by all means, go and watch it. I do think it's going to get lost in the shuffle a little bit, and it might be harder to find after this first week of release. But as always, you can find us on social media at Adam Farrand and at Farrand On Film. And head over to our sponsor, Offworld Tees. Use the code Farrand, that's FARRAND, for 15% off your order. Stay safe and look after each other, and I will see you next time.